Hey family, and welcome back to the channel for yet another furniture makeover. I'm really excited about this piece, but I wanted to come on here and say welcome if you're new. My name is Ebony and I'm so glad to have you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button because I know you're going to love it here. And with that being said, let's get right into this furniture transformation. Okay, so I'm really excited. Looking at this piece, it has really good bones. I've been trying to get my hands on one of these for a very long time, and it just so happened that the one that I picked up is in the best condition of all of the other ones that I was trying to pick up in the past. Now, we did have an issue. We broke one of the drawers upon loading it into our vehicle, but nonetheless, y'all, it looks really good. It has some really deep gouges on the top, which I was concerned about, but I did get this piece for free, so we're just gonna take our best shot, okay? So I'm starting by removing the hardware, and I'm just going to quickly show you guys a glimpse of that. But when it comes to the doors, I am going to leave the hinges attached to the actual buffet. That way it's a little bit easier for me to reinstall them later, and I'll just tape them off when it comes to primer and paint. So moving right along, the next step is I'm going to remove the trim that's on the center doors. This might be controversial, but to be honest with you, I think it's still going to look very uniform because the drawers directly above the doors don't have trim either, so it doesn't look out of place. But I will say if you did want to keep the trim, there is a solution, and you can purchase a molding kit on Amazon. And I'm not too familiar with how it works. I think you use epoxy and you can basically recreate the trim. Christina Muscari has a video explaining all of that if you want to check her out after you watch this video. But you just want to be very gentle if you are going to remove them because they can break easily. I'm going to be keeping these because I definitely want to do another vintage buffet, and this seems to be a typical issue that happens with this particular style of dresser. To remove the nails on the center doors, I just used some pliers and they were a little bit wonky, so I had a couple of stubborn nails that I had to wiggle back and forth with a hammer, but that just made it a little bit easier for me to remove the nails. If you are enjoying this dresser makeover tutorial, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. I've been doing my best to be very thorough and detailed in my explanations, and I'm trying to make everything as beginner friendly as possible because listen, I learned everything I know from YouTube and trial and error. So I just love sharing this knowledge and experience back on this platform to hopefully inspire all of you watching. Now it's time to clean the piece very thoroughly. I'm using Dawn soap and warm water because that's what I always have on hand. But look at this water. This is why this step is so important. You definitely don't want to paint right over that gunk and that dirt. It's just disgusting. But whenever you use soap, you have to come back with just plain water to remove all of the soap residue. So one of the things that I really love to do whenever I can is to take advantage of the existing hardware holes to measure my new hardware holes. It makes things so much easier. It's always easy to find the center that way. So if you can, I encourage you to do that. However, I know this is controversial. Some people don't like whenever you take vintage hardware and you replace it with something more modern. I see it a lot in the comments. It's like one of those comment wars that I really don't appreciate. I'm gonna let you know now, I love to paint furniture and I'm a huge fan of changing out my hardware. So if that's not your vibe, that's okay, but let's just not be mean about it. Thank you. All right, now this is something we have to do every single time. It's easy to forget this step, but when I tell you the amount of spider nests or eggs that was under this dresser, I could have made breakfast. No, I'm kidding. That was corny. But listen, there was a literal spider and I did not see it until I watched the clips back and well, I seen it, but it took a minute. So let's get into it. Oh, Jesus, I seen it. I don't know where he went. In Jesus' name. When it comes to sanding, these are my four main grits. 80 grit, 120, 220, and the 400 there in the corner. I literally just re-upped on my 120 because this is my go-to. I use this one no matter what. So the top of this dresser wasn't in the best condition, and I'm just going to use a 120 grit all over, and I'm going to stop with that. So I'm going to speed this process up because YouTube analytics told me that you guys hate this part and I'm taking way too long. So let's get into it. Okay, so the stain that I used in my last video was such a hit that I wanted to use it again. So this is General Finishes water-based stain in the color Provincial. Now, also, if you haven't checked out my last video, make sure you check that one out too because it didn't get that much love, but I know that the results were stunning and I think you guys are really going to enjoy that video. But really, I'm just doing the same exact process here, using the same exact applicator. The only thing I did differently this time is I did 2 coats of stain and I did them several hours apart from one another. So I came back at like 10 p.m. and did that second coat off camera, but the color is so rich and I really love the way it came out. So I'm pretty sure someone is going to ask, why are you staining the piece before you paint it? For me, I like to see the true color of the stain on my project. That way I can better pick out my paint color. And secondly, if I feel like I made a mistake that's irreversible and I decide to go in a different direction, I'm not working in reverse order. I can basically take care of that when it's time to prime and paint my project. Now you do see a little bit of a flaw here in the front of the piece, but I was able to correct that. And I'll explain in the next clip. And then I'm repairing the drawer that fell out when we loaded this piece up. Okay, so last night I came out here and I did a second coat of stain because I noticed there was a flaw. I also sprayed the entire thing with compressed air to make sure there weren't any hairs. I'm still seeing stuff. All right, but I think we're ready to go. This sponge has become my new favorite thing, and I really like the finish that I get with this. I'm actually going to start from the back. I have this little, I don't want to call it a hack, but I'll explain it in just a second. I got to focus right now. So the hack I was saying earlier, I feel like if I start from the back, it gives me more room to figure it out as I'm going. Like usually if I make a mistake, which I said earlier, it's kind of difficult to make a mistake with this polyurethane, but in the event that like my strokes aren't perfect, usually by the time I get to the front, um, I kind of got it figured out. So it gives me some grace. Like if I start from the back and I do miss a spot, at least it's in the back of the piece. And in the front, I have a better flow for myself. So that's why I like to start from the back. So we're almost ready for primer. I just have to finish up some sanding details, wipe back all of the sanding dust, and then we're ready to go in with my favorite Zen Bin Shellac Base Primer. That's a mouthful, I promise you. But okay, so this product is very expensive. It's about, I think it's about $80 a gallon at this time. It kind of fluctuates a little bit, but the thing about this primer is it's stain blocking, odor blocking, bleed through blocking, which is what I need for this piece in particular. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that in just a moment. But I like to do 1 to 2 coats all over. In this particular case, I'm doing two coats of primer. And this is that bleed through that I was talking about. So if you don't use a stain blocking primer, you're going to see this bleed through come through your paint and you don't want that. So truthfully, I think this 1 coat probably would have been okay, even though you can still see it, but it still kind of seals it in there so it doesn't continue to bleed out. But I just wanted to be on the safe side because the color that I'm using isn't very dark. So I did 2 coats of primer, sanding in between with a 400 grit sandpaper. Oh, and I remembered also to caulk the bottom. It just had some little gaps there, and this finishing detail makes all the difference. So I'm going in with my 400 grit sandpaper to remove any texture or any bugs or anything that might have landed in my primer. But I'm showing you guys up close how flush this primer is to the actual piece. It doesn't look like a layer of product on top. It's just one with the wood. And I love that because it makes me feel so confident about the adhesion on this piece. I finally made a decision on hardware, so I took advantage of this moment to drill some more hardware holes. And today I had a little helper with me by my side. All right, so for paint, we are using Benjamin Moore's Rockport Gray. This is the Command paint, and I actually really like this paint. I used to use it a lot back in the day. I kind of pulled away from it, but I'm going to reach for this a lot more in the near future. You're going to be seeing a lot of this paint. I love the way it applied. It dries to the touch in 15 minutes. You can recoat it in 1 hour. Return to service time is 24 hours. That's unheard of. And you can apply this in as low as 35-degree weather. This is incredible. But let me say this, it comes in quarts now, and it didn't come in quarts before, but those are about $30. I would rather spend $75 for the gallon, roughly. And also, I just want to say this was a rookie mistake, and I'm not naive to this, but I thought I did my due diligence when I sprayed my compressed air to remove all of the flaky bits, but there was still some loose primer stuck to the plastic, so I had a little bit of an issue there. Nothing too major. I fixed it. You won't even notice it. It came together flawlessly, but I was really stressed in this moment, so I did end up cutting the camera off early. But just going forward, I recommend you use the brown paper roll instead of plastic, and you shouldn't have any issues. So that pretty much sums up this dresser makeover tutorial. I hope you got some dresser transformation inspiration and motivation, y'all. But listen, the only thing left to do is to take some gold acrylic paint and go over the hinges. That way it matches my new hardware. You can find this paint at any craft store, even Walmart has it. But with all of that being said, I want to remind you where this piece started. And also remember, I got this one for free. So I took this dated vintage buffet that had gouges and missing trim, and I put all of my heart into this one. And I can't wait to hear your thoughts down below. Now let's get into this reveal. Okay, and this is what I meant by rich. This color is so elevated. I'm loving the contrast and the gold pops of hardware. But of course, I want to hear from you as well. Also, if you enjoyed this dresser transformation, be sure to hit the hype button and the subscribe button if you want to join me on my journey to 10K. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you guys real soon with my next dresser makeover.